Alongside Adam Lauridsen, I'm Ravi Kapur at the 2021 NBA Finals. It's not a bubble this time in Orlando. They're actually playing the games in Phoenix, and the Suns and the Bucks are squaring off in a matchup. Let's face it, I don't think most NBA fans predicted this outcome, but both teams played really well throughout the season. The Bucks led by Giannis and the Bucks were certainly a favorite team to be in this position, but the Phoenix Suns came out of nowhere. And I think the very quiet acquisition of Chris Paul a year ago has led to this renaissance. And we have a really intriguing matchup this year.
Just a few years ago, the Suns were a last-place team. They should give hope to all those NBA franchises that have toiled away in mediocrity, that with a few good moves, good coach, you can catapult yourself into contention in the NBA Finals. The Suns have all of that. Chris Paul, as you mentioned, has made a huge difference. Devin Booker was a great draft pick, has developed into an incredible offensive player. And Monty Williams, really the unsung hero of that Suns team. He has them all believing in themselves. He has them playing a great cohesive system at both ends. I think it's going to be an interesting finals. There's some new faces for basketball fans out there, but some really talented players, two competitive, interesting teams.
Well, game one ended in a matchup where we weren't sure if Giannis was going to play because he got dinged up in the Eastern Conference Finals. His teammates sealed the deal, allowed Giannis to heal up for a few days. To be frank, when I saw him go down with that hyperextended knee, I mean, that looked catastrophic on so many levels. And at the same time, I thought, okay, this has got to take a week or two to heal from. But Giannis showed up for game one. But so do the Suns, and the Suns were tremendous from start to finish, and they won 118-105. The backcourt, which has led the Suns all year, well, tremendous. Chris Paul and Devin Booker look stellar. And does game one tell you much about this matchup, or are both teams just where they kind of feel themselves out here in the first matchup?
It went basically as expected. Everyone knew the Suns' backcourt was going to be very difficult to handle. They are tremendous mid-range shooters. So even if you try to force them off the three-point line, they can snake their way into the middle of the court and really create their own shots at a very efficient clip. It's exactly what they did. The Bucks countered that in the second half, although a little bit too late. But it'll be interesting to see as the series evolves whether they find a way to slow down the Suns' backcourt. If they don't, this could be a pretty quick series. But the Bucks are well coached. They have a lot of defensive players who can make adjustments. I think we're going to see some interesting moves on their part.
And really the big three played well. I mean, Paul had 32 points, Devin Booker with 27, but DeAndre Ayton, I mean, he has been phenomenal this entire postseason. I thought big men weren't allowed to play in the NBA anymore, but Ayton has made a name for himself.
He's made a name for himself, and he's doing just what's asked of him. He goes in, he rebounds, he rim runs. He has a nice touch around the basket. If they're loose balls, he really cleans everything up there. So it's nothing spectacular, but it makes a huge difference in terms of the Suns' efficiency. They've gotten really good value from him. For those Warriors fans, too, maybe think about if 3 or 4 years down the road, if James Wiseman can turn into a player like Ayton is right now, that could be something very different than what we saw last year.
I mean, when I look at Ayton, I mean, I think James Wiseman, who is potentially on the trading block, though we don't know, there are all kinds of rumors, but Wiseman has immense talent. There's no question about it. And I don't think Ayton nearly has the kind of offensive game, especially shooting, from behind the arc that Wiseman does. So, I mean, that is something promising for Warriors fans, since Adam and I have typically been seeing courtside at Warriors games. But the Suns, I mean, you've got to admit, I think they're far deeper than I ever anticipated, because they have strong bench play, getting support from Cameron Payne and a lot of role players who have never been on the stage.
And that's really the coaching to me. These are role players who have tried other teams. They really haven't stuck. They haven't performed well. But Monty Williams has given them a specific role. He's given them confidence that they can go fill that role. And what we're seeing is them performing in a limited capacity, but doing exactly what the team wants from them. And when you get 2 or 3 players who can do that, who fill in the blanks when your stars may be at the bench, it really helps get your team through competitive games, and it can blow open games like we saw tonight.
So we saw Giannis score 20 points in his return to action, only took 11 shots, 6 of 11, mediocre at the free throw line as he has been throughout the postseason. Khris Middleton, great game for him, 29 points. I mean, how do the Bucks measure take a measurement from game one, understanding that, okay, they've got to get back into the flow of things. What can they take into game two, knowing that the Suns are really clicking?
They can take that they have Giannis back, and that he's probably going to get better as the series continues. That has to give them confidence. They also had some luck in the fourth quarter. They got this down to a 7-point game at one stage because they were able to blitz the Suns a bit on defense to get them out of those mid-range shots, to force them into some lower percentage looks. So I think that they need to reconfigure their defensive strategy a bit to try to go more towards that direction. It probably means less of Brook Lopez, who's great offensively, but can be a defensive liability if he gets pulled too far out from the basket. So you may see Giannis more at center, which is hard to believe given all the skills he has, but this is the modern NBA. If you have a 7-footer or even a 6'7" player, you can put them in the middle now, particularly if they're able to defend a wider range of players like Giannis is.
Well, since we didn't do a preview of the finals, I mean, do you have a sense that the Suns are going to take this, or do you still favor the Bucks?
I think the Suns are probably going to take it. I didn't know what Giannis was going to have. He does look limited. He's not going to be his MVP self. And I think while Middleton, Holiday, some of the Bucks' others players are really good, they're not going to be enough for a cohesive, well-oiled Suns team that's playing the best basketball of their season right now with a tremendous amount of confidence.
Got to admit, Chris Paul looks like he's on a mission to get a chip. I did think the Bucks were going to squeak it out somehow. They have so much depth, but we'll see. I mean, the Suns are just rolling, and they win game one in convincing fashion. We'll be back for game two on Thursday night. For Adam Lauridsen, I'm Ravi Kapur. Thanks for joining us.